Well, has Hollywood run out of new ideas? Remakes of classic franchises like Scarface and Ghostbusters seem to be filling theaters, and there are fewer original film ideas.
Hollywood in general is vastly out of ideas, or should I say, they're vastly out of faith in new ideas.
How can they not have any good ideas in Hollywood anymore, right? Are they so like, I mean, aren't there writers that write books all the time? Why don't they get some of these writers who actually write books to maybe write some films? Because it looks like the writers they're using in Hollywood at the moment, they don't have any new ideas. They're just recycling stuff, rebooting stuff. And look, the studios don't help. They said it's an easy cash cow just to bring back something that's popular so you don't have to build an audience there.
Has Hollywood reached a creative dead end? In jolly old Tinseltown, do we see innovation, daring, and novelty? Or do we see nothing more than mediocre dribble, alongside recycled facsimiles of the past? Let's find out. In an interview with Arab News in May of 2017, David Lynch had stated that art house style films are dead.
I think feature films are in trouble and the art houses are dead.
And he's right for the most part. Although the art house isn't dead yet, it's slowly dying. This is a perilous time in film exhibition, and there are fewer independent theaters than ever before. Movies aren't necessarily getting worse, but they aren't exactly getting better either. Movies are progressing forward and getting better in a technical sense. You can do just about anything with CGI, and it's been used to create some of the most visually stunning films of the decade, like Ex Machina, Blade Runner 2049, and Arrival. The only problem is that most movies nowadays, like many of the sequels, remakes, and comic book movies that have come out recently, only use the visual effects as a selling point and nothing else. Everything that's getting better is also getting worse. Essentially, most mainstream movies nowadays are like theme park attractions, which is where I make my next point.
Shark still looks fake.
I'm going to show you a couple of lists. These are the lists of the 20 highest grossing movies of 1984 and the 20 highest grossing movies of 2019. Of the 20 films on the 94 list, 11 of the films were original ideas, and 9 of those films were either an adaptation of another source material or a direct sequel to another movie. If you look at the 2019 list, almost every movie is either a sequel, remake, or comic book movie, and the reason why is because audiences are fickle enough to see them so many times per run at the cinema. This is why we're getting endless Marvel movies, endless DC movies, endless Star Wars, endless Disney remakes, and every single one of them feels the same. In an interview with Empire magazine, Martin Scorsese stated that Marvel movies are not real cinema and that they're like theme parks.
Well, look, what the point is, in terms of this film, Netflix, theaters, what I'm talking about really are films that are made when, let's say, a family wants to go to an amusement park. That's a good thing, you know? And at the amusement park, there's these cinematic expressions. They're new art form. It's something different from films that are shown normally in theaters. That's all.
And in many ways, he's right. There's nothing innovative, challenging, or thought-provoking about them. But the fact that there are so many sequels, remakes, and comic book movies can be attributed to the fact that they make much more money overseas, particularly China.
Which one of you decided to go and start bad-mouthing the Chinese government? Huh?
The US entertainment industry has a serious problem right now, and it's seriously affecting our entertainment. China's government plays an increasingly significant role in the American entertainment industry, not only as a distribution market for sports, games, and movies, it's also a major source of financing. The South Park episode Abandoned China points this out. The episode parodies media censorship in China and the manner in which the American entertainment industry purposefully compromises its productions to avoid it.
Cut. Kids, let's not say anything about this being a free country. Oh, come on!
In the last few years alone, China film financing companies have contributed billions of dollars to the American film industry, buying large shares and forming partnerships with companies like Sony, Legendary Pictures, and AMC. Now, bear in mind that only 38 US films a year can be screened in China, and the almighty commies in China get to decide which films do and don't make the cut. For major studios, this means billions of dollars in revenue, so there are huge incentives to appeasing the Chinese government. Anything that's even remotely objectionable is either edited out or banned outright. They can also ban a film if it's even remotely critical of China, but it doesn't stop there. Films like Django Unchained and Deadpool were banned for being excessively violent, Ghostbusters was banned for depicting ghosts, which the Chinese aren't very fond of, Back to the Future has quote-unquote dangerous fictional elements like time travel, so the Chinese people can't be able to see that, and Top Gun portrays the US military in a positive light, so that's not okay. It's worth noting that in the new Top Gun sequel, they removed the Japanese and Taiwanese flags from Maverick's iconic flight jacket to secure financing from the Chinese distribution company Tencent. Christopher Robin was banned, of course, because it's a live-action spin-off movie of Winnie the Pooh, which was banned 2 years prior because some people were comparing Pooh to the Chinese president, and Ben-Hur supported Christianity. All banned. And in exchange for China's money and access to the audience films can reach in new markets like Beijing and Shanghai, film studios have made numerous creative changes for the Chinese market and concessions for the government censors. And this is ruining films for the rest of us here in the United States. Every film that gets crammed down our throats are the ones made for a Chinese audience.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
So I've already established that modern-day mainstream audiences are fickle and will pay to see any movie given that it's a massive blockbuster. Well, this was also true 22 years ago. In an interview with Alan Gregg in 1997, movie critic Roger Ebert had this to say about modern moviegoers.
Let me tell you a parable. Because I feel that people are much more willing to go to a movie they think is going to be mediocre than they are willing to go to a movie that they think is going to be good. It's wrong to believe that people want to go to good movies. They're very suspicious of good movies. They're very willing to go to midstream movies.
And that statement is just as relevant now as it was 22 years ago because it's true. Mainstream audiences are very suspicious of good movies. These are the same people who will see 3 or 4 movies a year, almost all of them either a sequel, remake, or comic book movie, and then they'll complain, That's because you can never satisfy a mainstream moviegoer. Every time they go and try something new, they dislike it, and then they turn around and watch the Marvel movies again, or the DC movies, or the Transformers movies, or the Disney movies, or what have you. Want something original? Stop paying to see the Marvel movies. Stop paying for the Star Wars movies, the DC movies, the Disney animated movies. Why? Because they are shot the same, paced the same, colored the same. So why are you begging for something new when you're clearly unwilling to go out and try anything new? Sometimes, to find something new and original, you have to take some risks and watch some bad movies. There are plenty of bad and mediocre movies out there, but there are also good original movies. And Hollywood is perfectly capable of making original movies. The issue is that many of them are being overshadowed by these big budgeted franchise movies that you people keep seeing. These big budgeted franchises are one of many reasons why people are beginning to become jaded with Hollywood. They discourage creativity and they're devoid of originality. And I don't think Hollywood seems to be aware of this. I believe that both audiences and Hollywood should see film more as an art form and less as a theme park attraction. Cinema is about revelation, aesthetic, emotional, and spiritual revelation. It's about characters, the complexity of people and their contradictory and sometimes paradoxical natures, the way they can hurt one another, love one another, and suddenly come face to face with themselves. It's about confronting the unexpected on the screen and in the life it dramatizes and interprets, and enlarging the sense of what is possible in the art form. That's the power film had on me as a kid and still has on me to this day. I'm not saying there isn't room for dumb fun. Most of these big franchises aren't dumb fun. They're just dumb. The problem with them is that they don't make you feel anything. They don't take any risks, challenge anyone's worldview, or push any new boundaries. They just exist. They exist so that they can make advertisements for them, so that you can pay money to see them. Films aren't made just to exist. They're made to help form you as a person. They certainly helped form me. I can't imagine a world where I would be without them. That's magic.